time. Pull the call.
You have failed this city.
Winter is coming.
I'm Star-Lord.
Finish him. Hadouken! Fatality.
I spent my last dollar getting here. Want my ticket, and you're talking to me about healing through belief.
You're a man looking at the world through a keyhole, and you've spent your whole life trying to widen that keyhole, to see more, to know more. And now, on hearing that it can be widened in ways you can't imagine, you reject the possibility.
No, I reject it because I do not believe in fairy tales about chakras or energy or the power of belief. There is no such thing as spirit. We are made of matter and nothing more. You're just another tiny, momentary speck within an indifferent universe.
You think too little of yourself.
Oh, you think you see through me, do you? Well, you don't. But I see through you! What did you just do to me?
I pushed your astral form out of your physical form.
What's in that tea? Psilocybin? LSD?
It's just tea. With a little honey.
And welcome to Free Your Geek. We're having some technical problems right off the bat with Facebook Live. So apparently I can't use content from the trailer of Doctor Strange because the video just cut out. So hopefully we're uninterrupted now. So we'll have to do some break stuff later. So welcome, guys. The first live show, Facebook Live. We got a couple people watching. Just want to make sure that any commenters coming on, just make sure that we sound good, we look good, whatnot. You can see we decorated live at 59 Media Studios. We kind of decorated our little desk with some collectibles.
I really I like these action figures. I think they add a little something.
Yeah, I'm hoping it looks kind of geeky, but
a little bit of us on this table here.
Yeah. So we're gonna check into this. KB, first of all, how are you doing?
Pretty good, brother.
Okay, thank you. And I think this is the third time you've been on? Fourth time?
Yeah,
fourth time.
I think he's right. I think it's the fourth.
He's been on every major movie review we've done.
So
I feel honored.
So you're kind of like the Siskel to our Ebert, so to speak, when it comes to Marvel movies.
Siskel, Ebert, Gene Shalit.
There you go.
Yeah, listen, I'll take whatever I can get. But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It's been a while.
Cool.
You know, I'm always aching to come on when you guys are talking about
just let
Marvel.
your geek flag
fly
a little bit. Yeah. So the big thing today is we're going to talk some Doctor Strange. But first, I want to talk about the Facebook Live thing. You can see kind of the center of the table right there. We have a Cody box from our friends at Unique Customs, a new sponsor of the show. Share this video with your friends, and you'll be entered to win a free Cody box, courtesy of Unique Customs. And the winner will be picked on the Wise Ass podcast here at 59 Media Studios on Monday, and the winner will be notified via Facebook. So Cody Box, really, really cool. It's a streaming device. You can get different apps, movies, pictures, all kinds of things to this Cody Box and stream it to pretty much anything, your TV and your laptop, whatnot. So really, really cool giveaway here. So share this video. You're entered to win. Thank you, sponsors. Now
you got to pay the bills first.
Yeah, that's it. We got to get that out of the way. Because a new sponsor. It's sponsoring Facebook Live. This is why we want to share these videos, have it go out. You know. So all three of us saw Doctor Strange. I like the movie. It's not my favorite Marvel movie. I did enjoy it thoroughly, but I just want to kind of get just overall feelings from you two guys first.
Critics were right. The Marvel knocked it out of the park with this one. I really think they knocked it out of the park. Now you're saying it's not your favorite Marvel movie,
yeah, but
I think is for the general audience and everything. I think they really hit home, and the critics got it right. They didn't bash it, and they got it right. Given it that high score, Rotten Tomatoes was what, 97, something like that.
Yeah, no, it did very, very well on Rotten Tomatoes, but
you making it sound like you have a little bit of a problem.
No, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying I found other movies that Marvel has done more enjoyable visually.
Well,
I'll say,
yeah. It's really tough to say it's the best Marvel movie. There have been a bunch.
Yeah.
and there have been some really good ones. I mean, let's be honest. Out of all the movies they've made, there have been a couple shitty ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
But even the shitty ones they follow the story, you know?
This is good. We're
Yeah.
going to start here. On your level of what you think is shitty, what's the shittiest of the Marvel movies?
Oh, man. I was not a fan of
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 was horrible. That's probably the worst.
That's what I was going to say.
The other two would be Thor: The Dark World and the Hulk movie in 2008.
Okay. Starring
Norton.
with Liv Tyler, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but General Ross, Thunderbolt Ross, though, made an awesome cameo, and they kind of tied those movies in Captain America's Civil War, so that was kind of cool.
That's what I mean. They still keep the stories there, even though the movie blew.
But even
you know?
when they're shitty movies, they're not like horrible.
You're right.
So that's the other thing too. It's like if you're saying, oh, a shitty movie generally, just when you're going to the movies is like a 3 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10. Even that, like say for example, Iron Man 3.
They're 5s and 6s.
5s and 6s.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. They're
But
still good.
Coming back to Doctor Strange now, let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, we'll start with our guest because KB and I don't matter as it pertains
You matter
to our
the
guest.
most.
Yeah, well, we're just the hosts here, and you're the talent now. So like people are tuning in for you on Facebook Live, not to see us. You're the face of this right now.
Oh, jeez. Making
So
me
let's
blush,
let's talk about that. What were your initial thoughts? What did you like? What didn't you like?
I thought it was going to be because they got Benedict Cumberbatch. I knew it would be decent because he's a great actor. I always get nervous when they throw magic into things because magic can easily
It can go
destroy a
downhill
movie.
really
Yeah,
fast,
because it's
yeah.
just it can get too far fetched. I mean, this movie was pretty far fetched, but there was a real story behind it.
Yeah.
And I thought they did as good as they could, considering they're talking about mystic arts and just some crazy topics like
Yeah.
other dimensions. So same with Thor. Like when I was watching Thor, I was like, that is far fetched. If it gets
Yeah.
any worse than that, I don't know if I'm going
Well, it
to
kind
enjoy
of
it.
did, like when the cell phones were ringing in other dimensions.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So
it's a
stuff
little
like
strange,
that.
you
But
know?
I thought it was very well made. It was better than I thought it would be. So I was very impressed by it.
Well, because Marvel's tackling this new area now, they kind of talk about like even on Thor and whatnot with like magic. So like they kind of explain it as science that you haven't
Exactly.
discovered yet, where this doesn't take that same approach. So it's kind of a cool concept where it's a different realm for Marvel to go in. So Thor is a god, Captain America is science, Hulk is science based as well for the most part. Guardians is space,
Yep.
aliens and whatnot, and then Iron Man's pretty much tech. So it's kind of like that, and Ant-Man's a little bit more science too.
Yep.
But yeah, this is the first movie that's more all like mystical and like spells and whatnot outside of like Loki and Thor and whatnot. But
Yep.
visually, it reminded me a lot of Inception. I don't know how you guys feel.
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yep.
But it was cool. I should just point out too. Spoilers. We say this every show. Spoilers, folks.
Yes, massive spoilers. This
Yeah.
is a full-on review, people.
So basically, what I liked from it is I liked that mirror dimension. I liked the idea of all the buildings like crashing into each other and kind of like falling into each other and whatnot. Benedict Cumberbatch, as mentioned, awesome. I think he was great. What about Rachel McAdams? Let's talk about her a little bit. Did she have an adequate part, or should she have had more scenes?
Given she's a great actress, I think they should have involved her more. She was kind of just on the sidelines, but hopefully they maybe throw her back in there in some movie. I wasn't that happy with what she played, really.
Well, they kind of pushed the whole. I mean, and every superhero or hero, whatever, has to have that relationship, and that she touched on it, and he was just an asshole to her the whole time.
Yeah.
And
It's pretty bad.
yeah, he was a jerk. He was a jerk to her. But I agree. I think she should have been used more. I would have liked to have seen her more when she finds out that he is becoming a sorcerer and like he starts doing the magic. I would have liked to have seen more of her reaction or just kind of explaining more. Him and her
when she
together.
first sees it in the hospital when he's injured and stuff, and that that's where it was kind of like, oh, she should be. I thought we were going to start seeing more of her in the movie when that happened, and then that kind of really didn't happen. Is how I felt.
Yeah. I have a couple of issues with the movie. I'll get into my. Do you guys want to just give an overall any other grievances you had with the movie?
Yes.
Okay, you can go
Go for
first. Guess goes
I,
first.
I had an issue with the bad guy, Dormammu.
Okay, Dormammu.
He reminded me of Galactus.
Galactus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Which is weird. It's just like this huge entity in space. That was kind of just rushed for me. They didn't explain it much. They just said, "Oh, there's this dude from a dark dimension. He's just like what is he?
kinda
A
comes out of
presence?
nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like this evil, random. What would you consider? What would you call him?
He's an
demon?
entity.
Entity.
He's an entity. He's a from another dimension. That the whole MacGuffin area is there's the dark dimension. The main bad guy or the primary villain from this movie wants to, and I can't remember his name.
Caecilius.
Thank you.
Yep.
He wants to move Earth into this dark dimension so everybody can live forever, which is run by Dormammu. So he's kind of like the first. My major issue is they didn't give him enough backstory. I would like to see what caused him to want to do that. You're kind of thrown into this world.
Yeah.
They gave a little bit for Mordo. They gave a little bit for Wong. They explained the Ancient One. They gave a little bit of her backstory. The movie opens up with you're gonna have to. I can't remember the name. What's the name of the guy again?
Jonathan Pamborn?
No.
Pam?
Well, yeah. But
Hold on.
what's the character he plays? The bad guy.
Oh,
You just said it.
Caecilius.
Caecilius.
My
I'm never
fault.
going to remember that.
Yeah.
I'm never going
It's
to
like
remember.
the worst name to remember.
I'm hard. So I know, and again, totally putting this out there. I am not a Doctor Strange expert at all. The movie was the first real. I've seen him in comics and read some of the stuff, but I've known nothing really about him from reading. I never read his own comic books, just when he stars in other
Yep,
books.
special appearances.
So I didn't know much about him. So I went to this movie with a total open mind and just let me see what's going on. But yeah, the villain I feel didn't have enough backstory, his motive, and that's typical for all of the Marvel movies. So it's not something new just for Doctor Strange. So I that's my first issue. But going back to the Dormammu thing, do you know that Benedict Cumberbatch, it was his face that they used?
Yes.
Okay, so I thought that was kind of interesting.
I stumbled upon that by accident, and I thought it was funny. I just hated Dormammu in general, though.
Well, I think moving forward, he's going to actually get like a corporeal form and actually be like it's going to be a physical
Yeah.
being that's going
Think
to
so?
be him. Yeah, because I believe he's Doctor Strange's main antagonist.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. Obviously, there's going to be a Doctor Strange
Him and
'cause
Thanos together. Imagine that team.
That would
Oh,
be
boy.
scary. That would be
That's a
scary.
scary team.
He could make Thanos
Yeah.
shake in his boots, I think.
I wasn't sure how they were going to handle entities. Like characters like Thanos, they have bodies. They just look like some type of monster,
Yeah,
basically.
It's easy to come up with.
Yeah, but entities, they're just like
It's
these
like
faces in space. That kind of bothers
It's like
me.
a giant spirit that they're not going to put into a body yet, but
Yeah.
I think they'll get there. So, anything else you want to add about the movie?
It didn't have the comedy that some of the other movies have.
Yeah.
There
were a
was
couple
missing
of
that.
funny
Yeah,
parts,
but it
but-
wasn't nothing that I as you remember it. Like,
No.
it's not nothing memorable as far as any of the little punchlines.
They make him arrogant, similar to Stark.
Yeah.
He's always looking to do the next big thing. Did you notice the little Easter egg? I don't know if I was beating you to it there.
No, go for it.
About Rhodey?
That's on the list.
something
So
we're gonna talk about.
We are going to talk
Okay.
about it, but no, let's we'll get to that first because let's talk about that. So we'll talk about the mid credits and end credits scene at the end. So yeah, there was an Easter egg that a lot of people thought it was for Rhodey, War Machine.
It's definitely what I thought.
I think the director came out and said that it's not him though, but I think they put that in there just for
Yeah.
So to explain
people off.
to explain for people that have seen the movie or again haven't seen it, I'm giving you one more warning, spoilers. Before his accident, which ruins his hands, Doctor Strange is driving like an ass with a nice car, by the way.
Yep.
And he's basically going through different potential patients that he can have. And they say it's a 36-year-old, I believe, Air Force pilot who
Or
had his
general.
or
I think they said
They said general.
is that general?
Yeah.
Okay.
so that had his back severely injured
A
or paralyzed.
severe spinal injury testing.
Some kind
like
of
mech
armor
equipment or something. Yeah.
So-
like armor tech.
So- yeah.
But I thought they had said colonel, so that's what struck me as.
Oh, that
Yeah,
it might
I
have
think
been-
that's what they said, colonel.
Yeah, so I was like,
I think
it's
that's
got-
why
it's
it
gotta
struck
be.
me.
He's changing his tune. It goes
Either general or
to
colonel. I
Okay,
forgot
got
what
it.
was.
One of
But
those.
It was one of those. That's why it struck me because of the title.
Yeah, the only thing that was weird was the age. I would expect him to be older.
A little older, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this though, there is a little piece on the news on our sheet here, our run sheet. Entertainment Weekly broke a story that says there seems to be a subtle connection to an upcoming Marvel movie. So basically, the Easter egg in question is the same scene where we think he was talking about Rhodey. There's a reviewing these different medical cases. The file is about a woman who had an implant in her brain to control her schizophrenia. She was suddenly struck by lightning, and Strange asked to look at her case. This is probably a nod to Carol Danvers, who's going to be Captain Marvel in the Captain Marvel movie that's coming out.
I did not know that one.
So Scott Derrickson was asked whether the file was somehow connected to Captain Marvel. Entertainment Weekly said the man smiled before saying, "Hey, you remember that Brittany Murphy movie where she says, 'I'll never tell'?" So apparently, yeah, that response means it's kind of sly, but it could be that they're referring to Carol Danvers. So that'll be
cool.
kind of cool. So they're kind of tying the movies together.
I didn't realize she had some kind of chip in her head.
It's wonderful how they place all these little pieces into the movies
yeah.
so far before. Just like with Winter Soldier and the whole,
They mentioned Stephen Strange
Yep.
in Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
which is, again, tying them together.
As people who were going to be killed because they are a potential threat.
Right.
Like Strange was.
Yep.
Right. The other thing that's big that I found out kind of just watching some videos and whatnot, the Roxxon Corporation is affecting both Marvel Television, Marvel Netflix, and Marvel Movies. And that's like the big company that's connecting all those universes together because it's part of Daredevil. It's part of Jessica Jones, I believe. It was just on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a couple of weeks ago. And it was also part of Iron Man and Captain America and Thor and whatnot. So
Wow.
it's just that's the one corporation that kind of brings those three universes together as well, which is kind of cool. Now we're going to talk about, staying on the topic of Doctor Strange, there were two after movie scenes. There was a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. I personally think they should have flipped them because I think it would have been cooler.
Yeah.
But let's go from there. Let's talk about the mid-credit scene first. So it opens up with Doctor Strange at the end of the movie. He decides to become, one of the main sorcerers, the Sorcerer Supreme. And he's sitting there with his cool gloves and everything, and he's sitting there, and he's talking to Thor. And they're trying to find Odin. And this, actually, you and I discussed this probably a month and a half, 2 months ago, where there was scenes from the Thor movie with Odin dressed as a bum. Do you remember you and I had this conversation?
Yeah, I remember that too.
Loki may have, because he banished him. He took the place of Odin in Thor: Dark World. So
Which was a while ago.
Yeah.
Loki's posing as Odin. So maybe he banished Odin to Earth. Maybe Odin has like some kind of Asgardian amnesia. Maybe. We'll say.
How long ago was that? Was that 2014 or something? Or
Oh, I think it's longer than that.
Thor: Dark World.
2013?
13 or 14?
Yeah, I think it was 14.
Was it
I'm pretty
14?
sure it was 2014. It was.
That's
a couple
just
years
crazy
ago.
though that it's been so long
Yeah.
and they're just picking up now on that.
But that's the thing. It's and then when you think about it, the last time we saw Hulk was what? Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yep.
Yeah.
So since then we've had Captain America: Civil War, we've had Doctor Strange,
Ant-Man,
and now we're getting into the next Thor,
Yeah.
Ragnarok. So
Well, you're gonna have Guardians of the Galaxy before that, and
yeah. So there's a lot of movies that, and we're gonna pick
Crazy.
up the
and
Hulk
Spider-Man
story.
before that too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
I do wonder how long it'll be that Odin was banished. You know what I mean? Like how much time
Right? Does it work
would
in
have
real
gone by?
time?
Yeah.
Before maybe that's the thing. Like maybe Loki's been running Asgard, posing as Odin, and then Thor finally finds out what happens, and that's where the movie picks up.
Yeah. And we don't even know that at the end of Thor: The Dark World, we don't know that Odin was banished. We just know
We just
he's
know that
not there.
He's not. Loki is posing as him. That's all
Yeah.
we know. So that was a really cool scene. I like there was one humorous part of that, which is why I think it should have been like at the end, where when it's the audience is ready to go home, but Thor's drinking ale from a mug and it keeps refilling itself.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really, really cool. Then the post-credit scene kind of ties into the next Doctor Strange movie with the next antagonist. So in the movie, Baron Mordo is his ally at first, and then once he realizes the Ancient One has been abusing her power to stay alive, he basically goes on this quest to start eliminating magic and eliminating sorcerers, and he's saying there's too much magic in the world. So he's going to be most likely going to be the villain of the second Doctor Strange movie, the sequel.
Yep.
question. Now, we in a previous show, remember we went over when all these Marvel movies are coming out. Doctor Strange is nowhere in there that we've seen for like the next 3 or 4 years, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It was not even an upcoming title in the next.
Well, yeah.
Up to
So, but
2020.
that's going to be Phase 4, though.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure he'll be in Infinity. I think he's going to have a big role in these
Yeah.
movies.
oh just wait till we get to the countdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait till we get to the
I'm getting
countdown.
ahead of
Yeah.
myself.
So anything else anybody wants to add before we move on?
We didn't really talk about. Were you going to talk about Jonathan Pangborn more or no?
No, if you want to, go for it.
So in that, had you described that end credit scene?
Yeah. Well, you want to talk a little bit more? You want me to go into more
Yeah.
depth about it? Okay, so I can't remember the character's name in the movie, but one of the characters that Doctor Strange finds before he realizes he has to go and study to be a sorcerer type of thing, he ends up finding that there was a gentleman who had his spine severed, I believe, and he was playing basketball, and basically come to find out he's using magic to be able to walk again. And Mordo considers that abusing the magic because you're using that magic to benefit yourself instead of the greater good.
Yep.
for
At
all
the time,
people.
he didn't know that
Right.
at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
But he's the one who referred, basically, Doctor Strange to Kamar Taj, where
Right.
you learn magic.
Right.
Got it.
So that's where that happens, and then at the end in that post-credit scene, Mordo seeks him out and takes that magic away from him, thus crippling him again, or making severing his spine and making him paraplegic, or paralyzed, because I think paraplegic's no mobility. So he's just basically saying there's too many sorcerers, and I think that now he's on a quest to eliminate all these sorcerers and people
Anybody
that, abusing magic, which now he thinks that Strange is doing. So I think it's going to be really, really cool to see where we go. And then the other big thing that I was listening to.
Is he a likable enough villain for you? The actor and all that?
Oh, yeah. I think he's a great villain.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. He's played a bad guy in several movies, so I trust him.
Yeah, but it was kind of cool to see him as a good guy for once.
a
At least
little bit,
at the
and then-
start. And then he was the compassionate guy trying to help Strange learn the magic and whatnot. But yeah, to see him kind of and that's what I think makes the best villains are those that you can kind of connect with. Like not to go too off topic, but you can understand with Magneto, for example, his backstory. And you kind of feel like, dude, look what you've gone through. Look at the pain you've had to endure. I can understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Yep.
Where if it's just a villain that's like, okay, here's a quick backstory. Yes, my family was killed. You don't feel that same pain as you would, or you can't empathize enough with a villain. And that's what I think makes a good villain is one that you can kind of empathize and understand where he's coming from or she's coming from, but they're still an ass about it. They're still an ass hat, and you have to take them down. You have to defeat them. So I just really think that that's what does it for me, and I'm hoping Marvel, like Thanos, for example, even though they're not giving him the backstory per se as of right now, we've seen little snippets of him and pieces of him, through Guardians and whatnot and Avengers, and I just think that you're gonna know how badass he is. They're painting that picture.
By the time you get to him, there's enough there.
Very broad strokes right now, but they're gonna, when it finally comes time to unveil him and have him as an actual character and his motives and motivation and whatnot, I think he's going to be so badass.
There was no mention of Thanos in Doctor Strange, right? I didn't miss anything.
The only thing they mentioned was that. And this is such a good segue. Before we talk about that, anything else? Any final words on Doctor Strange?
No,
I like it. I want to see it again. I'd give it
Me too.
I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. That's what I'd give it.
I'll go with that same. Great.
like 8.5.
Okay. Yeah.
And another
has to be different.
He's got a one up.
And another thing, though, it's definitely one of those movies that's worth seeing in theaters and worth seeing in 3D.
3D was awesome.
Yes.
So I had a friend of mine that saw it, and I don't know what the name of the theater is. It's like not 4K, but it's something along those lines, where it's like a Disney ride, where basically you're in there and the seats shake, and then
wow.
he's like, when they were
4D.
in Mount, yeah, I don't know what they call it. It's something like that. It's like something for like 4D or whatever.
Yeah.
But basically what they do is, and then when there's a scene where Doctor Strange gets teleported to Mount Everest, they spray you with like water and stuff in the face.
That's cool.
I don't know if I could deal with that.
I could absolutely deal with
For
that.
2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wonder what tickets.
As long as it's not too cold.
I wonder what those tickets go for.
I think he said it was something like $28, $29.
Feel like you're there.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I want to feel like I'm on Everest. I want to feel like I'm getting hit with a magic
Blasts
spear.
of magic.
Yeah.
And,
a shield or yeah. So kind of let's tie this together now. You mentioned there was no reference to Thanos at all. But what there was a reference to was an Infinity Stone.
Yep.
The
Yes.
Eye of Agamotto
Yep.
is one of the Infinity Stones. So that brings us into our next piece where I broke down, and I want to have a discussion, all the Infinity Stones.
And we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, we wanted to
Previous
do
last
this
time
for a
Joe
while,
was
so
here.
I ended up. This is
We started talking about it.
What episode was that? What movie were you talking about? Was it Civil War? Not Civil War.
It was. I think it was. I think it was Civil War.
Wow, is that long ago? I don't
I think it was
so.
the very first episode. I think.
Or was it X-Men Apocalypse? It might have been X-Men Apocalypse.
Maybe.
Anyway, regardless,
Yep,
who
doesn't
cares?
matter.
That's not important. But we talked about doing all the Infinity Stones. So let's start with the first one. You guys will remember this one. The first one that we know of is the Space Gem. It's also known as the Tesseract, also known as the Cube, which is the blue stone. Its power, it can open gateways between worlds and provides interdimensional travel. What is the history of it? Well, it started in Odin's vault, as explained in Captain America, the First Avenger. It was brought to Earth. It was found by Johann Schmidt, a.k.a. the Red Skull, during World War II. And then at the end of that movie, it was lost in the ocean and then found later on, recovered by Howard Stark, Tony Stark's father.
Yep.
So it's now in the basically in the possession of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's taken from S.H.I.E.L.D. by Loki in the first Avengers movie. And he's working together with Thanos because Thanos is providing the Chitauri army to him. And that cube opened up the portal to let the Chitauri come to Earth, which the Avengers fought in the last battle.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of that movie, the Tesseract was taken by Thor, and after Loki had been captured, it's taken back to Asgard. So what we know of that right now is that Infinity Gem, that Infinity Stone, is on Asgard.
With Loki.
As far as
With
we
Loki.
know. Yes.
With Loki posing
Which
as Odin.
Which is scary.
So that's crazy. So that's the first one.
That's one down.
The second one that I want to talk about is the Mind Gem, a.k.a. Loki's staff, and that's a yellow stone.
Mm-hmm.
Its power can control the mind of an individual. We saw that when he controlled Selvig and Hawkeye and a couple of those things. And it can also project the user's mind into a higher plane of consciousness. We haven't necessarily seen that power yet, which is cool. But where has that been? Well, Thanos had it initially, gave it to Loki and his staff. S.H.I.E.L.D. had it after Loki was defeated, had the staff. The staff then fell into the hands of Hydra because Hydra had infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. at that point. We saw that in Captain America Winter Soldier. And it was used to create the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and give them their powers, which is where they made their appearance in Avengers Age of Ultron. Ultron ended up getting it and used it to create Vision. After Ultron's defeat, it's now permanently lodged in Vision's head.
Yep.
So let's talk about that for a second. What's going to happen when
interesting.
Thanos takes that? Is Vision going to be depowered?
I think Vision will be one of the ones to die. That's just my guess. Just because he's one of those characters you can get rid of and still keep, he can still be Jarvis.
Correct. Or they can find another way to kind of animate him later on.
Exactly.
Maybe like a synthetic type of stone. The third one is from Joe's favorite movie, the Reality Gem, a.k.a. the Aether. It's a red stone. Its power can convert matter to dark matter and takes over host bodies, sapping their life force. Where has that stone been? Well, it was first in the possession of the Dark Elves, and then Bor, Odin's father, hit it, and it was all but forgotten. Kind of like the One Ring from Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
Kind of weird.
And that was like thousands of years ago or whatever it was.
But somehow, and I don't remember this because I have to go, unfortunately, watch Thor Dark World again. But
It's been on TV, so.
a portal opens up, and Jane Foster ends up getting infected by it. It is then brought at the end of that movie to the Collector. The Collector's place explodes during Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
So is it still with the Collector, or did somebody else pick it up? Is it sitting in nowhere somewhere?
I say that happened. The Collector's, whatever the hell it is, his museum, I think it got blown up on purpose. I think they needed that as an excuse to potentially get that stone out of there.
Drag it out.
Yeah.
Drag it out.
I
Get
think
another
it's-
movie out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a perfect setup.
I want to give a quick shout
They
out
can do whatever they
to
want.
Donald LaCroix on Facebook Live. Jeffrey Swags is also saying I'm kind of a geek, so that's awesome. But Donald LaCroix said you did see the Mind Stone put people into a higher level of consciousness. So
Yeah.
I don't remember what was that.
In Avengers Age of Ultron, they make them see things.
Right. Okay. Duh. Obviously. So they're also like Scarlet Witch is not Scarlet Witch. Black Widow seeing like the ballerina
Captain seeing Peggy.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you, David. Thank you for correcting.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. I love that feedback. That's fantastic. So we don't know where the Aether is, the Reality Gem right now. It was with the Collector. We don't know if it's still with him. We don't know if it got taken somewhere.
I
else.
still like my theory that Howard the Duck has it.
Yeah. Howard the Duck's got it somewhere.
The very last second of the Marvel
I love that they threw him in
universe.
there, yeah.
How Howard the Duck is going to walk in.
It's definitely, I think it's in someone else's hands. I don't think it's with the Collector.
John Viveris is saying, John Viveris is saying Howard the Duck has it.
That would be amazing.
And Donald LaCroix is killing it right now. I love it.
Same.
He said it's the Asian doctor lady was the one that went to the higher level of consciousness.
How?
I don't remember that.
No, she just got manipulated.
Well, I'm gonna let I'm gonna let Donald, because Donald's very knowledgeable and he wants to be on the show, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Donald, hit
Why
us
not?
up. You can call in.
Absolutely.
You
Well, the Asian lady, Professor Chow or Chung, I forgot what her name was, but she was the same thing happened to her that happened to Clint and that happened to Professor Selvig. They just got taken over and then they did every command that Loki had asked. The same thing happened to that Asian professor. She just helped making Vision
right.
against her will.
Okay, so I'm gonna get when we go to break, I'm gonna get in touch with Donald LaCroix because he wants to call in. So I think that's gonna be fun. Let's finish the list first, and then we'll get him on. Let's talk about the power gem, aka the orb, which is the purple stone. Its power is energy projection. The stone can be used to produce blasts, explosions, storms, orbs, or tornadoes of lethal purple fire-like energy. When used at its maximum potential, it can produce an energy wave strong enough to consume an entire planet. So we saw that Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
It was owned by the Celestials. It was found in ruins by Star-Lord at the opening of Guardians of the Galaxy. At the end of the movie, after it's taken by Ronan and put into his hammer, he was supposed to give it to Thanos. He was on the mission to get it to Thanos, but it was handed over by Star-Lord to the Nova Corps. So that's what the Nova Corps right now. So Thanos is going to have to go to Asgard. He's going to have to go to the Collector. He's going to have to go to the Nova Corps to get it all back. So I don't know if we're going to see that in the Avengers movie, or if it's going to be like a backstory or flashbacks, or
It seems like he doesn't do anything himself either. He's just like, Loki hooked me up, and who's the other one? The one in Guardians.
Ronan.
Ronan. He was just like, Ronan, do this favor
He
for me.
finds some minion to do his bidding.
Yeah, it's always someone doing his work for him. He'll eventually jump in and do it
there's
himself.
that scene where he goes and he gets the gauntlet and he's like, fine, I'll do it myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's I think he's kind of tired of hiring these little underlings to
Yeah,
do his
because they
bidding.
keep failing.
Right. So that's that one. And then now in Doctor Strange, the time, a.k.a. the Eye of Agamotto, which is the green stone. Power, control the flow of time. It can fast forward, reverse, or even freeze time. So where has it been? Agamotto, who was the first Sorcerer Supreme, found the stone and turned it into his personal relic, and it was accessed by Strange in the New York Sanctum Sanctorum in
Yep.
Doctor Strange.
Getting to that power, what'd you think of the time loop at the end of Doctor Strange?
I loved that. I thought it was a cool
It was a
plot
unique
I
device.
thought it
way
was
to,
cool.
Yeah.
He was willing to sacrifice himself, and
Yeah,
that
he
just
would've
shows
been
like his character arc from
infinitely,
being like so
selfish to so.
that's good. That's a good
Yeah.
word. To selfish, where he was just kind of all about himself, and then he's like, "No, I have to use this to protect everyone else." And that's a great character arc, from selfish prick to hero.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love
And Dormammu was just easily agitated. He didn't even wait. He didn't even wait 20 minutes. He was just like, I'm sick of this after 30 seconds.
I'm tired of smashing you. Like,
Yeah. Entities don't have patience. That's what I learned.
Right, right, absolutely. Okay, so the last one that we haven't found yet is the Soul Gem. So where do we think that we're going to find that? Do we think it's going to be Guardians?
I think it's going to be in Ragnarok, whether it be in a post credit, during, or mid credit. You want to hear my guess?
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's going to be in Heimdall's chest.
Because he can see all the way from
He
Asgard.
can see.
that's
He
a
said
good
like
one.
millions of souls. He said that in a movie. I think
Yeah.
it was Thor: The Dark World. I just have this, and he was seen with some kind of jewel. That could be nothing, but it's the same color as a soul gem. So I was like, kind of.
That could be 100% possible. I also thought based on Guardians with
is he casted in Ragnarok?
I don't know.
I thought he
I'm
was.
assuming he would have to be.
Yeah, I would think
He would have to be. But my thought was in Guardians we're going to see was it Kurt Russell? Is it Kurt Russell's going to be in Guardians?
Russell and Sylvester Stallone.
Well, but no, Kurt Russell is going to play Star-Lord's father.
Yes.
Ego, the living planet. So I was wondering maybe if the Soul Gem had something to do with a planet being
Possible.
being a person. I don't know. There's ways they can get around that, but I like your idea with it being tied back to Asgard and Thor, because then Thanos can essentially get 2 for 1 right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So let's go into, we've been live for about 37 minutes now. So let's go into a break. And then when we come back, we will get into our final countdown, but I'm going to try to get a hold of David here. So we'll be right back after these messages. If my board would work.
messages. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to upgrade your office space or living area for an affordable price? Stop by Pachico's Furniture, where you can expect a delightful shopping experience, all while saving you some of your hard-earned money. Pachico's Furniture specializes in used furniture, antiques, jewelry, electronics, video games, Blu-ray, DVD, musical instruments, and much, much more. Whether buying or selling, we strive on being Fall River's finest secondhand store. Pachico's Furniture is a family-owned and operated business located on 663 Bedford Street, formerly Billy's Cafe, in Fall River, Massachusetts. Come on by. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
And welcome back to Free Your Geek. I am your host, Jay Free, KB, in the studio, live at 59 Media.
Fun stuff.
Yeah,
Been a good
and
time.
Joe from Whatever Bro Films, Whatever Bro Podcast. You were mentioning I'm going to try to Facebook message David here.
Yeah,
and
please do.
while I'm doing that, why don't we talk about what you were just kind of mentioning during that break?
Throughout all of these Marvel movies, there were all these Infinity Stones, but one of the first ones, I don't know if it was the first one brought up or the first source of power, was something called the gasket. It basically, I think the Frost Giants were trying to get it, and all it did was freeze people. It was just like this almighty ice cube that could just freeze whatever. I guess you could freeze an entire planet or whatever it was. It seemed like an Infinity Stone of some kind, but it wasn't. I think at the time they weren't sure how to use it, so they just said screw it.
We'll just drop this.
Yeah, and Loki was trying to get that the whole time, right?
I
Later on.
believe so.
So I was just curious why that seems like Power Stone worthy.
Yeah.
They never went back to that. After Asgard got it back, it was just let's not talk about this again. So I'm wondering if it'll ever come back, or if it's just that was just a dead end in that movie and that was it.
Well, I'm sending Donald a message right now on Facebook Messenger. So when he gets this, I'm going to try to use Facebook Messenger to call him.
Cool.
So before we get into that, or we're going to talk about that, we're going to talk about what we're doing for our final countdown. I don't know if our final countdown music is going to work now because we just had an issue with the Doctor Strange intro. So let's, before we get into that, I'm going to try to call him real quick, and let's see if it goes through.
Jeff, what do you think happened to the gasket?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to see if let's see if this works because we haven't done a phone call.
This isn't a
in while.
FaceTime or anything, is it?
No. This is
because you might scare him.
This is into our board here, but I don't know if he's on. So we're trying to call you right now, Donald.
Donald.
I love working out all the bugs.
Calling Donald.
Bugs on a live
Bugs
show.
on
I
the
know.
fly.
Silence kills, so we better talk about something.
Yeah. So so what do we're going to get into the final countdown. What's the topic of the final countdown?
The top 3 Marvel movies we're most looking forward to. So
Okay.
Well, I was going to say top 3 comic book movies
Comic
we're
book
looking
movies.
forward to.
Oh, so not just the MCU.
Not just the MCU because
Okay.
I don't have that in. So, all right, Donald, we're gonna then just if you want to just on not on Facebook Messenger but on the live video, feel free to explain because I can't get a hold of him.
Yeah, just if he gets it, he'll call in.
Well, it's one of those things where I don't want to have it in the middle of our show where we're doing a countdown.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
let's now then get into our topic. Let's see if the
Another
audio works.
experiment.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're doing it all live. First show.
Yeah.
So we can have a couple bugs in there.
I like that you took the plunge and went to Facebook Live. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's okay. It's the thing is when we do the podcast, we can always if we screw something up, if we mess up, we can go, oh crap, I said something wrong, or
You can edit it.
Go back in.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Nope.
No net.
It's tough. Tough
So-
being alive.
Yeah,
Took the training wheels off.
yeah. It's kind of fun though.
It's
kinda
good though. People watch you all mess up and shit.
All right. So yeah, well, let's get into our last and favorite segment called the final countdown.
It's the final countdown. The final countdown. Yeah.
So I think because if we're looking at live, we went back. Well, hold on. I don't know what's going on with this right now, but I think we're still live. But Donald did send in his number. I'm going to give him a call real quick before we do that.
Do it up.
So hang tight. KB, do you have a pen on you? Because if not,
No, I do not.
because I can't write it down and call at the same time.
Neither do I can text. Let me text it. Hold on.
Do you have his?
No, I was gonna. You just read it out.
Do you want me to read it out over the air? I don't want to do that to the kid. Give me 1 second. KB, talk about something for a minute. Actually, you know what? Why don't we start with Joe? We'll do our top three, then we'll call Donald up.
Okay.
So do number 3, and then we'll call Donald. So I'll wait. I'll go get a pen and write this down.
My top three. First and foremost, Thor Ragnarok is what I'm looking forward to the most. Just because you have the Incredible Hulk in it, and you have Thor, mainly.
Yep.
Would you agree as a number one?
As a number one.
Yeah. Is that like? Would that be in your top three? I guess.
Would that be
not
my
as your
top
number one?
three? No, that one's not in my top three. It's hard to have it not in my top three because it's one of the ones I am looking forward to, but not in my top three. I think I'm a big fan of Jeff Goldblum.
Okay,
He's going to be in this, so I'm kind of curious as to how he does.
What's his character? Again?
He's one of the bad guys. I can't.
Oh,
I
the
can't
Grandmaster.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
So I'm kind of curious as to how that's gonna
He's gonna
pan
be,
out.
He'll be great, I'm
And
sure.
The other thing is it's gonna have a World War Hulk kind of vibe.
Yep.
Like that's the other thing. Is this gonna be like an over the top, almost like a Michael Bay kind of flick where it's just action because they're not really on Earth.
Yep.
Or they're not. It doesn't sound like there's that many characters. So that's definitely it's an interesting movie.
So is that your number 3 or is that your number 1?
I'm sorry, that's my number 3.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so that's something that I think they might be going with the World War Hulk storyline, which would be kind of cool too if they can combine the two. I don't know what we talked about because I'm
gonna be honest. I think I went backwards. I think that's the one I want to see the most.
Okay.
So that's number 1.
So that's fine. Well, you've only been on the show 4 times. It's not like you know how this
You've
works.
only did 3 of these countdowns.
I totally forgot. You know.
Okay,
you count down.
KB, what's your number 3?
My number 3 has to be Black Panther. I'm really curious with Winter Soldier being on Wakanda. What's going on there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because think about it. Civil War's done. There's no more Captain America movies in the mix. What's going on with Winter Soldier? And they gave us just enough in Civil War where I know enough and I don't know enough.
Yeah.
So I want to see it. And I'm curious to see, what we just went through all the stones. So kind of what part of the story is this? What develops out of this movie that goes into the bigger the bigger MCU? So I think that Black Panther movie is definitely that's my number 3.
My number 3 is Avengers Infinity War. That's the third most movie I'm looking forward to because it has the same directors as Captain America Civil War. It's going to be Joe and Anthony Russo. And the rumored cast so far, like we want to talk about heroes. I made a list and I went all the way A through Z, which is already 26. But in there, Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Black Panther, Thor, Scarlet Witch, Falcon, Doctor Strange, Wong, Black Widow, Winter Soldier, Star-Lord, Drax, Groot, Rocket, Gamora, Nebula, Vision, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, Wasp, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Nick Fury, Maria Hill, and Thanos. So those are just the rumored so far.
Damn.
Will we be seeing the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. move into and have like little cameos?
I sure
in the
hope
movie?
not.
Would we see Charlie Cox, Daredevil, John Bernthal, Punisher? Would we see them in the movie? I don't know how they're going to be able to. That'd be kind of cool.
Much. If you incorporate TV, it's going to really mess things up, I feel like.
Well, I think it's going to be kind of like little Easter eggs for like the fans of that watch the television show as well. They might not even have big parts. They could just be like agents, parts of S.H.I.E.L.D. moving around and helping organize everybody. And it's like, oh, I know them from
remember,
the TV show.
There's also that Inhumans movie coming, and that's what S.H.I.E.L.D. has been focused on.
That's true,
so
too.
it's
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So
They might not even have
Yeah.
big parts. They could just be like, oh, wait. We're basically. I got to turn my volume down because I'm plugging my phone in, which I'm streaming live for the video too.
Yeah.
So we just got in a time loop. We had the Eye of Agamotto right there, and we just did that. So let me call real quick. I'm going to call.
That was a great geek joke.
That was.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to try this one more time. So I'm going to give Donald a call one more time here. And thank you for providing your number.
Don LaCroix. He seems like a very educated
He's
dude in the Marvel stuff.
So let's see.
There we go.
We're going to see if he. I
I hope this works.
If not, it'll be super awkward.
Hello.
Hello, Donald.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing really good.
Good.
All right, so first off,
Welcome to the
this
show, by the
This is awesome. You guys were talking about the Mind Stone never putting anybody into a deeper level of consciousness.
Yes, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I want to hear because you school us, buddy. I want to hear this.
Yep.
I love this.
All right, so it actually did happen in Age of Ultron. I don't know the doctor's name, the female Asian doctor.
Yep.
She tells Ultron that we were never able to create living tissue, and he tells her you just haven't looked deep enough yet, and touches her with the scepter or whatever you want to call it, and boom, right there. Now she knows how to make living tissue, and now we have vision because of the deeper level of consciousness.
So basically, he uses the gem to basically just enlighten her and teach her something that she didn't think was possible.
Yes, and on top of that, now that just brings me back to the first Avengers with the Doctor from Thor, the
Selvig,
Yep.
yeah.
guy who ends up, yeah. He also tells Loki that he doesn't know how to do something. Loki uses the staff so he can. He tells Hawkeye or something. I don't remember specifics. I remember more Age of Ultron because it's so fresh in my mind.
And that can tie into why Selvig was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in that home where he was doing all
Yep.
that. So that could
That
be
raises
it could
a
be a
good
side
point
effect.
where he's
Yeah.
basically like,
He has a higher vision that nobody understands.
Like
so
you do know,
yeah.
even though you think you don't.
and
know.
everybody just thinks he's crazy.
Yeah. By the way, the doctor
Yeah.
was Dr. Helen Cho.
There you go.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks,
yes.
Joe.
No,
Thanks, Joe.
no, that
And the soul gem has been right under our noses the whole time. It definitely is with Heimdall.
All right.
Oh.
See,
Definitely
okay.
has that.
Two votes.
Yeah.
So you guys might be onto something. So you know what? I'm gonna put my vote with you right now.
yeah, same here.
I'm gonna agree with you. So I appreciate you. Thank you for calling in for the show. Thank you for watching. And if you ever want to call in again, let us know, and we can definitely have some conversation via the phone.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you very much.
Right.
No problem.
Bye bye. So that was pretty cool.
Very interesting.
So this is the big thing with me. I don't know everything. I'm not like
No.
I'm not super into the weeds with everything. So it's kind of cool.
We miss things.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool that my whole mantra with the show is I love feedback. You know what I mean? Give
Yeah.
us that feedback. Just don't be a dick about it. I'm not going to be a dick to you. Don't be a dick to me because I don't know everything, and certain people miss things.
Yep.
And this dude is awesome.
He knows what he's
knows,
doing.
He knows
Yeah.
his shit, and
That's a great point
Yeah.
because she told him. I mean, who was it? Ultron. She was like,
And it's such
"You
an
can't
important
do
part."
it. You can't do living tissue with whatever the hell it was, vibranium." And then he put the staff on her, and that was it. It was like she learned somehow.
And that's such an important thing because that created vision.
Yeah,
so
it
it's
is.
very important. So yeah, that
is a good
That was
point.
good.
So now on to number 2 of the countdown. Joe, you're going in reverse, but your number 2 is still going to be number 2 in this
Yeah. Okay.
this order.
Number 2. I kind of want to see the Ant-Man sequel, The Wasp.
Ant-Man
if I
and the
had to
Wasp?
guess, is that what? Is that what
Ant-Man and
it's-
the Wasp. Yep.
Okay. Ant-Man and the Wasp. I want to see that one just because I really liked Ant-Man a lot. I like the characters. Every character in that movie, even the dumb friends, were a great addition.
Yeah.
Like, what's his name? Not Jay Hernandez.
Michael
It's,
Pena?
Michael Pena.
Yeah, I heard from
I
my
get those two
friend
confused.
told his girl who told it, and I love that.
That character is based on his real friend.
Really?
Yeah, he did an impression, and I guess the director or whoever saw it, and they were like, "Please use that as the character." And he explains it at one of the Comic Cons or one of the forget what it was, but one of those meetings,
The
where
panels.
the panels.
Yeah.
He described the whole how this kid was, like in how his character was developed. I found that very interesting. Like
That
it's
is
a real
interesting.
person that it's based off of.
That's cool.
That person must be laughing his ass off.
I know.
too.
And plus, I think Evangeline Lilly was amazing, and I can't wait to see what she does as the Wasp. I
Yep.
think that's going to be badass.
Big fan of her.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's gorgeous, and like I love how they turned her into like kind of like more of a tougher. She's not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like she's the
knows
daughter.
martial
She's
arts.
Pym's daughter, but like she's badass, and she's beating up Scott Lang, and I think that was awesome.
Yep.
So
Very
I
good.
can't wait to see her get in that suit and whatnot and start flying around. That'd
Yep.
be awesome.
So that's my number 2.
Cool. KB, you're number 2.
My number 2 is the Spider-Man: Homecoming.
That almost
That's a
made my
good one.
list.
I'm
That
yeah,
almost
about
made my
that
list.
one.
I just think like, are we finally going to get that great Spider-Man movie that we really want? In hoping, I'm curious to see, do they do any origin? Do they not? What do they do with it all?
Right.
Because I think we said on the last on that Civil War, the first episode that we did, is that we've kind of seen enough of that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just a little much of that. How many times can you redo that story over? And I really want to see what Tony Stark's role is. Is he just going to be Tony Stark? Is he just going to be Iron Man? Have they confirmed he's going to be Iron Man, or is it just
I don't
Tony
know.
Stark?
I haven't read anything on that.
But yeah, and then who's the Vulture again? It was
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton's gonna
Michael
be,
Keaton goes from Birdman to Vulture.
Yeah,
I found that
so
funny.
that is really cool too. In Hot Aunt May.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
love her.
it's just and then seeing what goes on now, because this is a joint venture, right, between Marvel and Sony, right?
Yep.
So what goes on? Like, what do they do with it after that? Is there another Spider-Man movie?
I think what they're going to do.
kinda
I think they're going to do what they did
throw
with
it
the
in?
Hulk, where they're going to be able to use the character in their own movies. But now I think it's more of a deal where if Sony's got the rights to it, then it's still going to be like a Sony Marvel like joint venture, whether Marvel is like an advisor or something along those lines.
I'm really impressed by I can't remember the actor's name, the kid that played Spider-Man. I was really impressed by the younger
Holland,
Spider-Man.
was it Tom? Is it Tom Holland?
Tom Holland.
Tom
Yep.
Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was good.
He did really good, and I love. And we've talked about this before, but I love seeing
The web shooters.
the web shooters, but like a high school Spider-Man, not like a Tobey Maguire. Yeah, I'm in high school for 5
Not a high
minutes
school
and-
senior
and now I'm in
or
college or
college, yeah.
or Andrew Garfield. Like I just wanted I wanted to be like this 15-year-old kid for a movie or two, and then just like see him grow up and become an adult, and that's
Yeah.
cool
Yep.
because that's how Spider-Man was initially intended when Stan Lee created him. Was they wanted a superhero that went through the same general problems
As
as
a
all
teenager,
teenagers do, and it's like that's cool, and that's why a lot of kids and young people tend to connect with Spider-Man a lot more.
And kind of going back to the Ditko designs and right, Steve Ditko. It's kind of that the newest suit is kind of closer to that.
Yeah. Oh, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, the newer suit, I'm curious if they're going to be doing more. Yeah, because I like how they use Stark to make the suit instead of him just making it himself. I mean, it's against what in the comics, personally, like how he creates the suit, but having a Tony Stark funded suit where he was just kind of running around, and I love how it paints the story as, Peter Parker's living in that apartment with May, and Stark is there, and he's like seeing how like they live and whatnot. And it's like, this is, you basically made this costume, and he's got like whatever the goggles or whatever, and it's just he made him the Spider-Man
I
costume.
do like that the eyes focus and it's a little more
Yeah,
detailed than
and
your
that's-
other Spider-Man.
and that's
Yeah.
what KB was saying. It's based off the older Steve
Yep.
Ditko drawings with the,
gotcha.
the big eyes. I love that, and that's awesome.
Yep,
So
that's my number 2.
My number 2. So I said comic book movies. You guys can do Marvel. That's cool. One of the ones I'm looking for, though, we actually saw the preview of while we were watching Doctor Strange, and that is Wonder Woman.
Yep.
Oh yeah, shoot.
Wonder Woman, and it's kind of funny that we were talking about the Wasp, and I think she like kicks ass, and Evangeline Lilly can be like this awesome fighter, and she's like somebody that's really really tough. She's not going to necessarily play a damsel in distress. Wonder Woman, in my opinion, is the most iconic female superhero.
Yep.
So I think, because you can ask anybody off the street, name a female superhero, somebody that never knows anything. You can talk about Scarlet Witch or Black Widow or something that's been in the movies. Wonder Woman is going to be, as far as heroes go, probably the most recognizable female
Yeah.
to the general public, to those that aren't familiar. I like the fact that it's going to be a period piece set in World War One. Captain America obviously was World War II.
Yeah,
We haven't
that's what
seen
it
any-
reminded me
Yeah.
of.
We haven't seen anything like any other like movie set in the past, because she can essentially live forever, or she's immortal, or however you want to.
Some kind of demigod
she's
or
a
whatever.
god. Yeah, she's from Themyscira. So it's one of those things where if she's got this unnaturally long life, and to see her like being alive in World War One and working with Steve Trevor, who I think Chris Pine was a good casting choice for Steve Trevor. My only real concern is for the most recent DC movies. I haven't.
Is it
been-
going to be too dark?
One, is it going to
Yeah.
be too dark? But I haven't, like Batman versus Superman, I was not a fan. We kind of ripped that to shreds
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, I hated it.
And it was just because, have you seen, and kind of a quick little aside, have you seen the extended version? The extended version is a lot better. I'll say that.
Really?
Because it takes a lot of time
So
to
just scenes that weren't in the
scenes,
original.
but they expand on a lot of the stuff that was cut, and it gives a little bit more of a plot line to it. Still by no means a perfect movie or even a great movie, but it's the action's great, but the extended version kind of explains a little bit more.
Gotcha.
And I really really like that.
Can you explain Jimmy Olsen dying in 10 minutes?
No, that still pisses me off. Oh yeah, I'm Jimmy Olsen. Bang bang, you're dead now. that just kind of made me.
I'm not going to lose sleep over Jimmy
But
Olsen dying.
here's my concern. But just the way they handled it,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
oh,
Quick
it's-
death.
Like he wasn't introduced in Man of Steel or anything like that. You know, it was just Batman versus Superman. Oh, that's Jimmy Olsen.
Superman's best friend.
Yeah. My only other real concern, though, is because it is the first solo female movie, I feel like it can't just be all like action and explosions. I want them to spend the time and make those characters matter because it's with everything else that they're doing right now is, and not that they want to necessarily copy Marvel, but the fact is they introduce certain characters in their solo movies. They build them up, and then when they put them in an ensemble, you already have enough backstory on that
Yes.
character to not have to worry about all this story that's going to be affecting them. You can do little pieces, and it's not that big of a deal. DC's doing it the opposite way. They're putting everybody in these movies, and then they're going to do solo flicks, which is interesting. I'm curious to see how that pans out, but I just really hope they spend the time and actually flesh out her character and make her badass, but like compassionate as Diana Prince is in the comics.
Yep.
So that's
From the trailers, it looks like it's going to be lighter.
I'm hoping, but I'm just like I said, I'm a big proponent that I think that girls shouldn't have to look at Captain America or Thor as like these are the heroes that I want to be like. If they can see like this beautiful girl who's powerful and kicks ass and is just badass and she just she's defending all like the freedom and honor and all
That's
that
who
good
you
stuff.
think of when you think of a female superhero.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Wonder
Yeah,
Woman.
exactly.
I'm
So-
surprised there hasn't been a movie for her yet, like a good one anyway.
Right. Well, that's why I'm hoping this kind of breaks the mold with that. So
Yep.
that's my number 2. So Joe, what's not your number 1 now because you did that at first. What's your number 3?
My number 3, I'm going to leave the MCU and go Logan. I'm looking forward to Logan. Simply because the trailer looked so dark. I mean, I was expecting it to be a little dark, but it was darker than I thought it was going to be. You have Professor X, who's kind of dying. And then you have Logan. Again, yeah, exactly. And then you have Logan, who he's not healing as well, from what I can gather from the reviews.
He ages, but he ages slowly, so he's
Yes.
now finally starting to.
Yep.
It's catching up to him.
So he almost looks like he has arthritis and he's just weathered, and
Yeah.
that I want to see. And then they basically run into the little girl who's
Who's going to be
Who's gonna be
X-23.
X-23,
and
who will be the new
basically
Wolverine.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I like that pick. I love the fact, and I read this online. There's a really cool Instagram account to follow called Blurred Vision, and he puts all these like fun memes up on his Instagram. And it was one of those things where it shows Patrick Stewart as Xavier in the back of the car, and Wolverine's driving or whatever, and he's like, Wolverine says, "By the way, Charles, what timeline is this?" And he's like, "Just shut up and enjoy the ride," because they've convoluted that timeline so much with which what's happening, what's canon, what's not canon, what counts as story, what's been erased, and it's just
they've butchered so much,
Yeah.
but somehow their movies are.
the
doing
movies
great.
are good. The movies are good for the most part.
What I was going to say is the X-23 thing is probably a good idea at this point because she's going to be in the age of those other characters that we've seen in the last X-Men movie. She's going to fall in with those characters.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
that'll be kind of cool.
Yep.
I'm pumped for this. So
yeah,
that's-
I am too.
I am disappointed though that it's basically end. It seems like it's going to end on a bad note for Professor X and Wolverine.
Taking a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that's. I don't know. Like you look at these characters and you think, oh, they're saving the day. Now they're just pretty much going to be old and decrepit.
Well, it's their
But
it's
now,
their
but
last
now,
stand.
but now, wait a second though. So now we have X-23, who's a kid. Hold
The
on.
Last Stand, I
right?
get it.
Right?
I
And
totally
then you
get
have, Then you have. But then you have. Well, the Last Stand didn't happen now, right? Because of Days
no,
of Future Past.
it was a pun.
Yeah.
Kid.
Okay. Yeah.
I got it.
But now, so we have the Professor X in this movie dying, but then we have the young Professor X in the other movie.
Mm-hmm. He's
And-
still alive.
And all of those X-Men that are the same age as her in that world. But we have a Professor X that's dead in this one and dead in the other one. So yeah, it's so convoluted.
And I love how Deadpool addressed that. I like it, but I don't.
That's
because
my favorite joke of the movie. We will see what the professor has to say about this. And he goes, McAvoy or Stewart. Love that line.
Yeah.
It's the best line.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one too.
So that's your number 3.
Logan.
So now we're going to go to your number 1.
My number 1, it was tough. I'm actually looking forward to, believe it or not, and Captain Marvel.
Okay.
I want to see. Marvel hasn't done anything with a major female role. I'm curious to see how they handle it. I'm curious to see. I feel like that movie, because it's so far off, and it's going to be after the Infinity Wars, right?
Right.
So I feel like that movie's going to be. Is that going to be the transition point where the characters, because like we say, a lot of these characters, their contracts are up soon, right? So is that like the transition point of like she's the new leader, she's the new center, and the universe kind of resets after Infinity Wars, and she's the start of like kind of the new where Iron Man was when it came out. You know what I mean? Like the next gen starts there.
Well, I'm curious. I mean, I don't know the contracts of all the different actors,
Yeah.
but I'm assuming that Paul Rudd signed a
Yeah.
picture contract. I think, I can see for somebody like Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. or Scarlett Johansson, but
or Hemsworth, yeah.
but Scarlett Johansson said she wants to see a Black Widow
movie,
solo
and
movie,
I
which
think
would be
people are
awesome.
excited for
Yep.
that.
She could too. I mean, they could even go into the past,
And
her as a child, kind of like they did with Wolverine Origins, like
Yeah.
from the very beginning.
And the other thing is that's in between the two Avengers movies, right? Because it's in between, if I remember correctly. What's the Avengers lineup going to look like after Infinity Wars?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Who knows?
what's it going to be? So
Ant-Man and Wasp, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange,
Strange.
maybe.
Who do you think?
Spider-Man.
Now, I absolutely think at least, probably more, but at least 5 characters will die. If you had to guess, let's not go 5, but give me a couple that you think might die.
Okay,
Hulk is done.
You
right?
think it's Hulk? I don't know about Hulk.
I hope
I say it could be Robert Downey Jr. I could see Stark.
Oh, that's a big
That would be-
character leaving. though.
That'd be hit.
War Machine seems to get punished a lot.
Yeah, but I think he got his in Civil War.